Hey all, this is 012 Boku and
The return of the list of Jack. Oh. Oh shit, how the fuck did that get there? Judas in my mind is playing tricks on me again.
I didn't see your names on that list. So you didn't make the list. but yeah, we're coming at you with Jherick's take on this with me, of course, chiming in on the recent episode of Fullmetal Alchemist. 15 of the original episodes, the Ishbal Massacre. And I also just want to say on a side note, I have noticed, I don't know when I do my videos and when I do these with Jherick, why the ones I do for you guys have been so low. I am going to try to tinker with the volume and try to fix that. If not, bear with me. If not, maybe I'll do mine live too. Who knows? But I just want to do that as a little side note. But as we continue, take it away, Jherick. Give your thoughts.
I mean, chaos is always loud.
Indeed.
But yeah, there's a lot to talk about this one. And I guess I'll start off with one of the more, how should I put this? One of the more kind of inconsequential, but at the same time interesting aspects of this one episode, which revolves around Riza Hawkeye. Now, we all know Riza, kind of similar to like Mace Hughes, not like the most traditional alchemist. In fact, we see her mostly with like guns. She's pretty much the team sniper, the Revy two hands if she wasn't a complete psycho. Well, what's interesting is this is like the first time they really emphasize just how much of a gun master she is, because we get to see her go full dual akimbo with her pistols. Doesn't exactly seem like it would be much of a big thing to mention, but the funny thing people forget about simple little things like that is most people have what's referred to as a dominant hand, like either you're right-handed or you're left-handed. And this can play like a huge amount of fuckery when you're using guns. Like if you're right-handed and, I don't know, maybe Fallout 4 made it so that all the guns are made for left-handed people. Yeah, kind of fucks around with shit. Hey, thanks modders for fixing that, by the way. But I mean, the funny thing is, this girl's such an absolute beast with guns, it doesn't even fucking matter which is her dominant hand or which she prefers, because she's just that much of a principled master at what she does. Just to give you an idea of how big of a thing this is that never gets brought up in Brotherhood. In DC Comics, the sidekick of the Green Arrow, Speedy, there's a moment where he gets his dominant arm chopped off, the one that he basically uses for most of the stuff he does with the bow. Now, they do replace it with a cybernetic arm, but the thing is, his whole lifetime he spent training, under the idea that he's got two organic arms. So having a bigger, heavier metal arm basically makes it impossible for him to do archery the way he used to. Hence the reason why up until the New 52 reboot, he had to switch to like using a crossbow or whatever other weapon he could get his hands on. Hence why he was starting to call himself Arsenal rather than going back to being either Speedy or the Red Arrow. And I mean, they even had a moment like that in some fan-made Overwatch comics back when that was still popular, where it shows Angela Ziegler, aka Mercy, basically having to put the Tin Man Genji back together again. And he's mentioning to her how having a cybernetic arm and his organic arm is throwing off his capabilities with his katana, because he spent his whole life, and now that his one arm is heavier and more dense than the other one, it's throwing off all of his old training. He can't use the blade the way he used to, because now he's having to reorient his mind around one arm being much heavier and slower than the other. And he just suggests to her, hey, just chop off the other one and replace that too, which freaks her the fuck out. She's a doctor. You're not supposed to cut off shit if you're not supposed to. But to Genji, it's just a practical solution. I can't, fight the way I used to, so just chop off the other one so I can be symmetrical when I'm fighting. It's a weird thing to think about, but given how much of an absolute beast she is with firearms, the amount of training and discipline it would take to be able to dual wield with the accuracy that she does on the fly in a moment of panic when Scar is about to try to kill the guy she cares for, just shows how much of an absolute unit she is with guns.
One, to be fair, this is after she also had to chop block, Roy, for it was raining and he can't use his fire powers. And to be fair, people say, well, and Brotherhood, she rarely misses. And I'm like, well, yeah, because we get to see more of her skill played out in Brotherhood, where, yes, they do define more of it in Brotherhood, and where her father was an alchemist, how they really met.
Yeah.
And as cool as that is, again, in Brotherhood, not to say that she wasn't cool, but at the same time, it was cool how knock down the colonel, I still have his other gun, I take my actual gun, shoot at him, and at the same time, in all fairness too, as good as she is, so is Scars, like I said in the review a couple days ago that I did, takes a huge crack out of the building, out the side of the wall, and basically does his monk training, which again, for those who get on Weasel Hawkeye about that, we really don't know that Scar did monk training in the original at all. Again, more of Brotherhood in the original manga, but you can tell, since we know that, that's probably how he did it. Basically acrobats up the building like, hey, yup,
Well,
and away he goes.
It's kind of heavily inferred with how he keeps invoking God and God's will, so.
Well, yeah.
But and speaking of that, it's kind of neat because in a sense, it's sort of the same thing. The evil clone of Spider-Man, aka Kane Parker, for those of you who remember the Clone Saga. Yeah, he would do this thing where he would use Spider-Man's ability to stick to objects, but rather than use it to climb up, he would tear it down. Like he could tear down sides of buildings. Hell, at one point, I think he put his hands on someone's face and just ripped it off with a downward motion. He used to do that a lot, by the way. But it's kind of neat because in a sense, he did something similar where instead of pulling it down, he just basically pushes and directs the destruction energy upwards. Kind of almost in a reverse Kane Parker, really. And then he just, runs up it with his parkour monk training. Which, again, it is just so neat to see how much more intelligent and disciplined he is with the destruction aspect of alchemy now.
Well, and I'm going to point out, too, with what you said, with what we know in this episode, given how we've seen quite a few of the original now, and we're getting near the end of the first season of the original show, this is me, but Scar seems way more trying to use religion to balance his own vengeance than the original did, where it's like, I know I'm doing this for vengeance, and screw God. And it's like, I like this one more because he's trying to find a reason that God has done this for him, which maybe there was, but maybe he misinterpreted the message, which we all can do because of free will. But in Brotherhood, he seems to be... Again, I don't know why. The animation of Scar, I mean, maybe he's older in Brotherhood, and that's why he looks younger in the original, but his animation style, the way J. Michael Tatum is awesome, and so is the original voice actor who does Scar in Japanese. They're both awesome, but I've always liked the original more. I know Jherick said he prefers J. Michael Tatum. I personally like Damian Clark, but there's a difference, and a vast difference between these two different Scars, and I've always gravitated to this one because you can see where he wants to try to find some semblance of good in what he's doing, where the other one's like, oh, I know I'm out for vengeance, and fuck you.
Well, to that point, I mean, maybe the reason I prefer J. Michael Tatum might have something to do with him being the Crimson Fucker. I mean, just saying. But also, it kind of reminds me of the small gripe I have with the voice cast of Persona 3 Reload. On the whole, consistent-wise, I'm not a big fan of most of the new voices. But strangely enough, I noticed there's a lot of moments, mainly might be due to the combination of the better writing and, frankly, some of the greater exposition on events that just kind of get mentioned and not really expounded upon well in the older games. But there are moments when the voice acting cast absolutely just curb stomps the old one. Like, for instance, Sayu, the VTuber who plays Akihiko Sanada. On the whole, not the big fan of him sounding like a 50-year-old chain smoker for a lot of the game. However, there's a lot of emotional moments, especially involving Shinjiro Aragaki and their past history, where he draws out a much better emotional performance and a much better line delivery than the old actor. And that might be due, again, to the worse writing in the older games, and also them kind of writing Akihiko Sanada as a one-note character, which I kind of felt like Brotherhood did a lot with Scar. Whereas this one, I kind of like what you bring up. It's kind of like he's trying to justify his anger and vengeance through the idea of religion, which does not at all sound like certain Middle Eastern religions, which I will not mention out loud.
Yeah.
But it definitely harkens back to that a lot. Also kind of reminds me of Anakin Skywalker. I mean, let's just be honest. It sounds a lot like, and not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Well, to compound on that point, since we brought it up and we're sort of talking about the differences and things, which we said we wanted to do anyway. The way I look at it is because Scar and Brotherhood, flat out, you can see it in his face. You can see it in what they do. And again, for any fans who could see this in both our reviews, I didn't mention this in the one that I did, but since we're talking about it now, if you guys ever comment, again, we do like Brotherhood. I know I say it all the time, and I believe I did say that in mine as well. We do like it. It's just that there's glaring differences. And Scar and Brotherhood, and this is how Hiromu Arikawa wrote it, because I don't really have too much of Scar's stuff from the manga yet anyway, and I still want to collect the manga, mind you. I've not seen any of that, but he seems like he's an absolute thug, like a guy who, which you can understand in his position after losing everything. You don't care. You're just pissed off and angry. Yeah, there's not much to live for. But you can see where what I like about in the original, Scar is acting like a crusader. But what happened with the actual crusades? They thought they were doing something holy, but then that mindset turns and you do it too long, and then you've realized, I've just been killing in the name of God without any due justification or reason. And, that happens after he takes down the Elrics and tries to get the Marco. But since he injured Edward and Edward is prime for the picking, Edward asks, spare my brother. And, he's being all sanctimonious and self-righteous, stone cold about it too, not much emotion. But Edward asks him, why are you killing all these people if this is such a holy thing for you? And Scar just stares, and it's written in his face that where you don't need dialogue, where he's like, this is my holy quest. God did not tell me this. This is me, which basically, again, going back to what Brotherhood did, it was all about personal vengeance, but you can see where, again, he's trying to put moral justification behind it, which he probably struggles with, but he's like, as long as I feel good in the end and pray to God for forgiveness, I'm fine. Which, again, you can do, but you're still going to carry that stain with you. Again, something I like more because it's more layered instead of like, I hate everyone. Bah.
Well, it reminds me of my favorite line in New Vegas from, of all characters, Joshua fucking Graham. It's like, I tell myself it's God's vengeance, that I'm doing the Lord's work in his name, that they are the ones starting the fires. But deep down inside, I always know it's me who starts the fires. I keep them burning. Thank you, courier. Today you have stayed my vengeance, and even if only for a little bit, you have calmed the flame within me. Come, there is much work to be done. Tomorrow will dawn, and there's much to be done. And I mean, it's just such a great moment. If you've never played the Honest Hearts DLC, it is worth it just for that ending. And yes, spare salt upon wounds. It is one of the greatest moments in video game history. But yeah, I mean, it's neat to see how, in essence, it takes the words of an innocent child fearful that he will lose his older brother to remind him that once upon a time, he was that person. He was the one who wanted the bad guy to spare his brother, and it didn't happen.
Well, yeah, but again, like you said, that's how the wheels start getting turning. But at that moment, it doesn't connect because he's like, no, I know what I'm doing, because he was still going to do it. And then the awesomeness that I brought up with Marco, and there's actually a connection between the Philosopher's Stone and his arm. Ooh, not. Which, again, I don't know if you want to bring up Jherick, but MacGuffins, guys, and Brotherhood, the Philosopher's Stone is the biggest giant MacGuffin, and this rewatch has proved it. I'm like, I miss when the Philosopher's Stone, like in this original show, had a plot to play as an object and a thing that this is why man should not mess with God, but yet it's like, in this one, it's all down to Father.
Hey, Boku. PTSD incoming. The Philosopher's Stone? We got a whole desk of them. We use them as paperweights.
Oh my! You know what? That is basically. So wait, is the TVA lurking in Brotherhood somewhere? Part of the. Okay, are we back? Well, we did have a blip. The internet is back on, and we're still rolling.
I guess.
Okay, we'll keep going. Go ahead, Jherick. Finish what you were saying.
I guess maybe we should not speak ill of certain franchises, but anyways.
What franchise are we speaking of?
Just the greatest movie franchise of all time. Which is entering into a brave new world of irrelevancy. He said the thing.
We'll just go ahead and say it because we're back now. I mean, if we get cut off again,
it's just kind of neat to see that there is still a little bit of Scar that has some goodness in him, but it's kind of funny because, again, comic book fans, incoming PTSD alert, the difference between Alphonse and Scar is the difference that essentially exists between Batman and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went there. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this one. And good Lord, did we go off on a tangent this time? There's also, let's see. Oh, Ishbal, the name of Saul in the Bible. Well, Ishbal, the name of Saul, the son of Saul in the Bible. Yeah, anybody remember that shit? And yeah, we're also going to talk a bit about Ishbal. Yeah, this is going to be one of those moments, children, because in Arabic, depending on if you go with Val or Bal, again, depending on the translation and who's doing it, you could get shit like, as the man of Baal. Baal, the demon god of the Goetia, which is also worshipped as a sun god in certain religions, which, again, we've mentioned multiple times. Or, if you change the translation a little bit, it could also mean to love the Lord, because, if you go with like the B-A-L translation, Ishbal, if you go with like B-A-L or B-A-L-L, you get entirely different connotations, wordings, and meanings. But it's kind of weird to realize it's the same problem Western translators have with like the Japanese language. So many different ways, and frankly, it just never kind of translates correctly in English, since our language is kind of simple, let's just say. But it's also the reason why English is kind of the universal language. But anyways,
yes.
There's also, the artifact Major Brigadier General Brigg was holding appears to be a type of Vajra. And for those of you who know Buddhist mythology, you kind of know exactly where I'm going to go with this. Because in Buddhist mythology, the Vajra is a symbol of power and enlightenment. And the fact that Major Brigadier General Brigg is kind of just holding it and toying with it in an office while telling Marco that, no, we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep massacring these people, kind of indicates he's already sacked a couple religious temples, which, given the fact they kind of inflect that scar, what might have been a monastic holy monk, who knows, maybe that artifact might have been taken from the very temple he ransacked when he killed his brother. Because again, a Vajra is a symbol of power and enlightenment. And what was his brother researching? The essence of alchemy to create that crazy ass arm of his. So it wouldn't be all that hard to potentially realize that, hey, maybe Major Brigadier was the one who basically offed his brother and decided to take a souvenir on the way out. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened in an act of war. Also, there's Baal, or rather Baal. It wasn't B-A-L-L, it's B-A-A-L. Is the name of, the god or demon, depending on who you ask. And hey, fun fact for you little Genshin fans, the name of your Raiden Shogun, or rather her Archon name, is Baal. So yeah, the lightning Archon of eternity in our world would more likely be a sun god and one of the 72 demons of the Goetia. Just a fun fact for you to think about. But hey, the alcoholic god of freedom and wind, Venti, his Archon name is Barbados, which technically makes him a demonic bat god and the god of Batman. Yeah, Venti is Batman's god of choice. Just think about that. Oh, and of course, there's just, guys, this was really crazy, but there is kind of going back to the voice acting side of things. Playing Persona 3 Reload made me realize why I kind of prefer this version of Alphonse Elric. Like, one of the things that always kind of disturbed me about like the Brotherhood version is, yeah, I know why.
Which again, to clarify, Maxie Whitehead, which we don't hate you, Maxie. We think you give a good performance, but yeah, continue.
Well, the thing is, kind of too good of a performance, too professional.
Oh,
see, that's kind of the weird thing that I could never wrap my head around fully before, but playing Persona 3 Reload made me realize why this voice cast is starting to grow on me, because I mean, you can see like they're good, but they're not quite like professional tier yet. You can see moments of greatness in their voice acting, but that's why I love it, because these are kids they're supposed to be playing. They're not true professionals. They're still coming into their own. And it made me realize this is why, even though I kind of hate the fact Akihiko sounds like he should be playing Ryotaro Dojima, it's like it kind of works because, you know, these are kids who are throwing themselves at a task that's basically far too big for any one person or even a group of kids to handle. This is like the Goonies throwing themselves at Unicron, and yet it's perfect the way it is. You know, the unsureness, the uncertainty, it comes out in their voice and it adds credence to like what's going on. You feel the greater emotional resonance when things just get to a point where it absolutely draws out that power, that emotion that's necessary in that moment. And Alphonse Elric's voice actor in this show,
Aaron Desmook.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's all right.
When he thinks he's going to lose his brother, it's kind of on that level, you know. It just, you feel that moments so much more. When Scar's about to kill Edward, there's just absolutely so perfect to have a child play this part. And also the moment where he gets angry with Edward, saying, you know, you don't get to take that easy path out. You don't get to die before me. We both swore that we were going to see this through to the end and get our bodies back. I can't do this without you. Yeah. You don't get to make that choice. That anger, that moment of selfishness is so perfect because he's right. It would be so cruel of him to do that. And I know they don't have Alphonse say it completely. They don't have him say, this is your fault. I warned you not to do this. You don't get to die. You have to fix this. But you can feel it in his voice. He is so pissed off that Edward came close to taking that easy way out without him. And it's honestly one of just a beautiful touch, both in terms of like the writing and the way the line is delivered by the actor. Honestly, it's one of my favorite scenes. And God, I should have taken my Ritalin, and not Ritalin, lorazepam before I did this review. But
it's all right.
You know, maybe
I didn't think you were going to do that either. Otherwise, it would have gave you full warning.
But, you know, maybe that's kind of better that way, because honestly, it kind of just goes into what I was saying. There are just times when it just hits too hard. And honestly, sometimes maybe it's better that way, because it really delivers the sincerity of the moment, the weight of what's being said and why it's being said.
Not that Aaron Desmook, or not Aaron Desmook, Maxie Whitehead didn't deliver well. She did. She did a great performance. I still feel it with her too. But the thing is, Aaron Desmook, I mean, it could be that he's 11, 12 years old while he did this, or, you know, whatnot. But yeah, like you said, he brings so much more raw emotion to that. And it honestly, I would say I would have to do a side-by-side comparison to know for sure. But yeah, I liked his more. And I know in Brotherhood and in the manga, because I have that part, Scar goes right after them and there's no Marco. But I love how by random chance, you still have those same scenes play out in the same way, and you have the Elrics reacting the same way. So it loses nothing of value. They just changed a few things around, but it gives that raw emotion, which I love. And I agree with you. I always thought Aaron Desmook was a little better over Maxie Whitehead delivering that performance.
It's just, it kind of delivers that just absolute raw, heartfelt sincerity. I mean, it's kind of the reason why I also got a lot of love for like One Piece, Fairy Tail. Yeah, haters can hate all they want. I love that show for some of those moments, man. When Portegas de Ace dies, no, fuck it. Luffy, do it. wreck all these motherfuckers. They took your brother. You show them why you're going to be king of the pirates. I mean, let's face it. That show, if you've had family, you've lost family, you feel that shit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I mean, hey, that's like right up there with Vegeta sacrificing himself to save everybody. And yes, even for you, Kakarot. But, aside from that, there was just, God, what else was it? There was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, one of my favorite lines comes from Mace Hughes, where Roy Mustang asks him, hey, aren't you going to get in there and help? It's like, what are you talking about? This is a fight between freaks. I'm just an ordinary guy trying my best to survive. And, credit to this version of the show for actually pointing that out, because Mace Hughes, yeah, he's intelligent and he's a very capable individual, but he's not Superman. He is not Superman, and he's not going to be soloing Doomsday. And that's kind of the funny inflection with this. It's like, yeah, you can toss as many Guy Gardners or Batman as you want at Doomsday. We all know who's going to have to clean up this fucking mess. And Mace Hughes, God bless him, he actually points this out. It's like, I'm here in an intelligence capacity. I'm not here to fight fucking man-sized Godzilla, okay? So honestly,
and you see where he even takes down Armstrong, which is no easy feat. And granted, Armstrong isn't killed, but instead of just escaping, I like how he has to use his tactic of burying Armstrong and injuring him to escape, instead of I'm just going to create the hole in the ground now and bye-bye.
And it's a very neat thing to point out because, if you think about it, Armstrong is pretty much a state alchemist version of Scar. So if anybody would be able to fight him on an even keel with a pretty much similar mindset, it would be Armstrong, because ironically, Armstrong is kind of fighting for the same reason Scar is, to protect people and to prevent the tragedies of war. He's just doing it from within the system. And it's kind of interesting because I think in that moment, Scar realizes this guy is in almost every sense my ideological equal, but opposite.
Yeah.
This is who I could have been. Or to put it another way, and again, anime fans, PTSD bomb incoming, think of it as basically the same dichotomy between Suzaku Kurugi and Lelouch Britannia. One is going to destroy the system from the outside to rebuild it. The other one wants to reform it from within.
Well, and also to reiterate the point as well, the only reason I think that it wasn't more even keel and that, Armstrong didn't get a one-up on Scar and why it was vice versa is because around that time, probably when that happened, was when he, through one of his artistic alchemies at Scar, his glasses broke, and then he found out that skin, those eyes, are you an Ishbal? And remember, he hesitated, and that's when Scar starts getting close, and they cut to Tim Marco and the Elrics, and then that's probably what did it up, is because he was so in shock that, yeah, I didn't expect you to be an Ishbal, and whoops.
So again, it's like the ideological, it's in a very real sense, the exact sameness, but yet difference that exists between Batman and Jason Todd, the Red Hood. Both of them are highly skilled tactical fighters. Both of them are really good with like weapons and surprises and ambushes. The only real difference that exists between one is the killing instinct. Jason Todd will kill, Batman will not. Although God knows he will give you some pretty gnarly head trauma to go with your beating.
Well, then to do that, like we mentioned earlier and brought up just a little bit during that fight, I like how they're talking about philosophy, why they do what they do, and how, Scar's saying, it's a sanctimonious day, I get to take out you and the gods guide my path. And he's like, but you just start with destruction by taking your arm and stopping there. You combine all the elements of alchemy, but you only do two, and you forget the third. Wouldn't your gods have something to say about that? Just stopping at destruction? I'll let the prophets decide my righteousness through my work when my time is done. And I'm like, oh, that. And then the other best part too, when Marco's got the Philosopher's Stone and it's reacting, your arm, it's reacting to this. Could it be that your arm is made up of the same chemical makeup as this? No, don't say it. Which I pointed out, the way he reacts like that he knows something about that arm that, no, I'm not doing anything wrong, God. I'm not doing anything wrong. Don't say it. You'll fuck with me.
Which again, kind of might lend credence to my idea that the temple that got ransacked by Major Brigg might have been the one his brother was doing research on, because it sounds like Marco himself might have been studying up on elements of alchemy while he was during his time in Ishbal.
Yeah.
But also, it's kind of neat that you bring that up, because in the fight between my boy Alexander Louis Armstrong and his beautiful alchemy, you notice that difference play out in the fight itself, because what's his name? Scar always does stop at the 2 stages of alchemy, the basically destroying something and breaking it down. But with Armstrong, it's all 3 of them. He's not just breaking things down and destroying them and breaking them down, but then he repurposes it into whatever he's fighting with, like the giant spikes, the giant anchor he shoots at him.
Yeah.
Whenever he breaks something down, he always creates something, and it's always within his own artistic purview, which is beautiful, like his muscles.
Yeah. As they sparkle while he's fighting Scar.
Because of course, how could you not gaze upon the perfection that is Alexander Louis Armstrong? But it's just neat to point out that even in the fight, you see this play out. Like, yeah, he does do the big, powerful punches, but there is always the element of all 3 stages of alchemy in the way that he fights. He isn't a guy who just destroys everything like Scar does. He rebuilds it. He reshapes it. He molds it into a beautiful form that can be looked at like the beautiful primal beast that he is. Or, as WWE used to put it, the total package. Yeah, we miss you, Lex Luger.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
the narcissist.
You truly are the narcissist.
I'm glad that part didn't stay around too long.
Yeah, let's be honest, it really wasn't the best gimmick. After all, Scott Steiner had a lot more Papa Pump to him.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just kind of a neat thing to mention, because, yeah, he notices this guy basically is more or less exactly like me. Well, except, he isn't willing to just kill people willy-nilly and just destroy everything. But it's kind of neat to see. They're both disciplined, monastic, mystical warriors. I mean, hell, if any of you still remember Final Fantasy IV, Alexander Louis Armstrong is just basically Yang from that game.
Yeah.
Except French and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there was just so much in this that I absolutely love. Getting to see Riza Hawkeye go full fucking pistolero, which, by the way, I absolutely love maining pistols in a lot of the games I play. Borderlands, Fallout, doesn't matter. Oh yeah, seeing her go full Clint Eastwood with those things. Miss Hawkeye. Waifu confirmed. But yeah, I mean, there was, and plus just seeing Roy kind of jump the gun, forgetting, oh yeah, it's raining. There's not enough dryness in the air for me to do my alchemy. Just reminds me of like Mr. What's his name? God, that one guy from the Incredibles movie in the first moment is like
Syndrome or no,
the ice guy.
Frozone,
where it's like, I thought you could draw moisture from the air. There is no moisture in this air. I mean, come on. If you're going to steal from the best. Love that franchise, by the way. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of great moments. And plus, seeing Scar realize how to take down the Elrics and just seeing them kind of half broken at the end, both just kind of reflecting on what happened and how much more their understanding of the world of alchemy is expanding with every moment. It really just sets up how amazing the rest of this particular part of the series is going to be going forward.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, what I loved about, I know Brotherhood just takes the best parts of the manga, well, I mean, or at least the big parts of the manga and keeps going too. But even though what some fans have considered filler for the original, like, there's no filler in the original either. Every episode has led them to the next part of their journey, even maybe if the characters weren't as important, weren't as big, but you can see certain alchemists that Lust and the homunculi were looking into for their work. The people they were using, the people they wanted to use, and Majahal, and I forget his name, like Mugir, and everybody else. I mean, they did use Mahjahal because they realized Mahjahal was a hack, but and then all the other alchemists leading them on the way to their next destination to find the Philosopher's Stone, and it all led to these moments and everything just culminating, and it's going to continue to do that. As I said to Jherick, the original is going to start really picking up now too, where we keep moving the ball forward. And again, it's like I love Brotherhood. I love the political intrigue. The animation is still really good, but I love how they put reasons behind God or reasons behind the science or all the other stuff. And Brotherhood is like it. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but accept it. MacGuffins, accept it.
You know what else I love? I love how we actually get to hear them explain how these alchemic principles work in real time.
Yes.
Because I miss that in comic books. I miss having people, point out it's like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're using my spider ability to climb walls, but you're using it to tear the walls down to bring them to you. I love little things like that, like characters actually showing how intelligent they are by breaking these processes down and then just explaining it. Yeah, other people can say, oh, the audience should be able to figure it out. Yeah, have you seen the modern audiences recently? That's not happening.
Yeah, well, not anymore. And I know you and I sung the praises in this last episode for that too. But again, that's what I've also liked about Brotherhood. Probably another reason why we haven't gotten to it yet, but why I like Index. Because I know everybody says Index, Railgun, Accelerator. There's a lot of good action in that, but it's also very dialogue heavy with a lot of exposition. But that exposition to me is entertaining because you have to explain it for people who may not know even though it's made up, the religions that they're based off of, and they go into the connections or the connections of science, or if the science is new and made up, they explain it, but then, you see practice. I mean, I've got no problem with that as long as it's like, take another good show that they've ruined. Doctor Who did that. When you had something that you didn't want just to be a stupid ass MacGuffin, you explain the MacGuffin, and it's not really a MacGuffin anymore because they explain how they did it. Now, as they say, well, that still makes no sense. And it's like, well, it's a show about time travel. To quote the Doctor, wibbly wobbly, wibbly wabbly, space timely dimely stuff. Stuff that doesn't make sense.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey cop out.
Exactly. And you could say that's a cop out, but hey, at least they went through to tell you that it just didn't go poof. Now, where Doctor Who messes up on that is with the villains, because the villains always seem to have a machine or an arc thing or something that we pulled this out of our ass out of many things from the Time War because time pockets. When are those going to stop? When the writers think of something better.
Yeah, really. But hey, you know what? I just realized with the way they handled the story in this one, this is like the J.J. Abrams mystery box done right. Yeah, I said it, Disney. Prove me wrong. But it's funny, though. It's funny because, honestly, this is how you do the this led to this moment, and it keeps leading to all these other things. This is how you do that, JJ, by the way. Just saying. But it's also kind of neat to see, how we get more of the characters. We get more of the little moments. I know people say, it doesn't really add it. People think it doesn't add anything to the story about like Alphonse bringing up that he can't feel anything anymore and how he misses being able to touch things. People, it adds a lot. I mean, think about how you would feel if you woke up one day and you were basically a soul in a suit of armor. You couldn't eat. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't cry if you wanted to.
Well, remember, that's not entirely true. Barry the Chopper episode where Edward had to save Winry. Edward gets himself captured, and the entire fear he goes through, and when he accidentally cuts, Alphonse is like, that'll take more than that to kill me, brother. And then, it goes into the end where he's telling him about the Philosopher's Stone. Edward goes over his fears, but Alphonse is like, I have no idea how you feel. I can't feel that terror. I can't feel the pain.
Well, that's what I mean.
That you do.
I love how it adds to the story. People who say little moments like that don't really add anything, or just, I don't understand these people, okay? I like these moments. I like how it adds to the character,
as do I,
building the world.
Maybe it's with my love of drama and love of emotion done right, but I think that's why I like it. Plus, again, the music they play in certain those moments, like the Kyodai, the brothers music, that is missing from Brotherhood. Believe me, you are missing a very major theme with that. That theme always makes me cry when they have those moments, and especially in that moment with Barry the Chopper, where they're explaining their frailties, but why Alphonse is committed with those frailties of wanting to feel them again to get their bodies back. And, Edward realizes, we're not gods. We're just humans, insignificant humans who can't save a girl. And, they're all seeing this, basically, stoic, Roy Mustang and Hawkeye have been through war and just like, we brush it off physically, but we understand it emotionally.
Oh,
and then, you have Winry crying and Alphonse feeling dour and Edward weeping as what happened.
It reminds me of something you mentioned when we were talking about this episode about how funny it is that Alphonse kind of says, hey, that woman looks a lot, kind of sounds like Mom. I find it kind of interesting how Alphonse is the first one to pick up on this. And I told Zach, what the hell, man? Sorry, Boku. Yeah, sorry about this. I just got off of a gnarly Persona 3 reload session. Anyways, I was telling him it's funny how Alphonse is the one to kind of make that correlation first, because to me, I think part of the reason why Ed doesn't notice is, to me, it's like Ed is trying so hard to run from his past while at the same time trying to fix it. And kind of like his dad, he's more focused on the goal. Like everything is just getting to that finish line. And there are times when you can see him almost lose himself in that. Like with Marco, for instance. But Alphonse is so connected to the past, to everything that he lost, that of course, he also has this deeper desire to have his family back, that he's the one who notices it. He's not. It's almost like Edward is trying so hard to try to bury his past, to forget about it. Kind of like Anakin Skywalker. But just like Anakin Skywalker, Alphonse can't let go of it. He can never let go of it because of remembering everything that he's lost and just how much he's changed because of this. It's kind of interesting because in a sense, both of the brothers kind of balance out the two different aspects of Anakin. The man who wants to forget, the man who cannot allow himself to forget.
Well, it's funny how you bring that up because, as we mentioned, in Japanese, that line isn't in there for both the Elrics at all. You see Alphonse staring at the woman as the woman takes Marco into custody, who is the secretary of the Fuhrer. And we've made several correlations to this already within the past 3-4 episodes where the secretary first comes in. And you're like, yeah, that strangely looks like their mother, Trisha Elric. And, it's funny how Alphonse has always pondered about that. Edward has stared this woman in the face, maybe doesn't even see it. But again, in the English version where Alphonse isn't just looking at her, but, she talked in Japanese too, but nothing is said. But after she talks in English, obviously I'm going to say it's still voiced by Lydia McKay. Lydia McKay talks in English. You have Aaron Dismuke Alphonse say, what he said, doesn't that sound like our mother? Oh, don't be silly. Our mother's dead. I like how it has that thing because you've had Alphonse looking at this lady for a while, wondering and pondering. And now some people say, well, you could see it. They didn't have to say it. I'm like, I'm sort of glad they did because you don't know exactly the emotions Alphonse has in the suit of armor. Yes, his eyes are wide and expressive. Yes, he's looking at her. But again, we haven't heard Alphonse's full thoughts on it yet, and now we finally got it with Edward dismissing it, so you can see where they're both at. And again, it's maybe they're thinking, hey, they're both kids, but that's the thing, like you just said, Alphonse, the alchemist who's hopeful, and I will even say people probably disagree with me, but faithful in sticking to something to believe in, where Edward, who says he's not a soldier or a whole alchemist scientist, is really the alchemist scientist soldier type. So
or hey, to say it another way, Alphonse is the alchemist who regrets. Edward is the alchemist who forgets.
To quote Doctor Who again. Whoa. Yeah. But I guess since we're sort of wrapping it up, Jherick, tell me what's up?
Oh, the my favorite voice actors.
Yes.
Of course.
That's what you're getting at. You talk to them about that. I think I need to use the toilet.
Taking the Browns in the bowl.
You're not.
But yeah, my favorite one this time was Dr. Marco, Bryce Armstrong. I mean, honestly, I could have picked anyone from this episode, but Marco absolutely had a great, amazing fucking range in this one. Like when they mentioned how they want to take him to someplace safe, and they mentioned, oh, let's go to I forget the name of the town and Resin Bowl. It's like, we got a friend there named Rockbell. She can help you. He's like, Rockbell? No, I can't go back. It is such, and then like the quiet reservation in his voice when he's allowing himself to be taken into custody. Marco's actor, Bryce Armstrong, had just absolutely an amazing ability to shift between different emotional states. Honestly, dude, we need more Bryce Armstrong, just saying. Yeah. Second, we got Roy Travis, Roy, aka Travis Willingham. Good Lord, Mr. Willingham, you came dangerously fucking close to taking number one in this one. The flashback of him killing the rock bells with a gun. Not again.
It's all right, dude.
I'm sorry. I really should have taken my medicine before this. I should have known that scene was going to break me again. Sorry.
All right, man.
Anyways, Travis Willingham dude, we need more of Travis Willingham in just anything. I don't even care what you put him in. Just give this man something. Anything.
He's still going. I just haven't seen him in a lot of the modern stuff so far, at least.
Which is a goddamn sin. Let's just be honest, man. This dude could, with that kind of acting range, this man should have been in so much more. And of course, number one, the absolute king of the ring, Mr. Alphonse Elric, Aaron Dismuke. My hat's off to you for so many reasons. That moment where he gets pissed off with his brother Ed, where he begs for his brother's life, just this kid has he has the voice, he has the talent. Or to say it as my favorite Autobot once said, he has the touch and the power. Damn right, man. Give Aaron Dismuke the Stan Bush award, because good Lord, that scene, that moment, Aaron Dismuke just absolutely units his way to the top. I just cannot believe the talent this kid was displaying at, like, what was it, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah, 11, 12 years old, I think.
I think he
was 13 by the time they do the movie, because you can hear in his voice he's older, but he could still do it. Oh, what's up, boy?
I mean, just the way he just brings that raw energy to that moment is just, this kid, I mean, honestly, I don't even care what he's in. Just give me more Aaron Dismuke. And honestly, why not bring him back for Brotherhood? I mean, don't get me...
Well, because he was probably way older by then, dude.
Well, true. I mean, guys' voices do drop pretty hard.
Because now he sounds more like me a little bit, because he does do older characters and he sounds like this.
Yeah, that is one of the very real biological advantages women have in voice acting, is like they don't have to worry about the balls dropping in the voice and dropping with it.
Well, see, that's probably why they did Maxie Whitehead, because they probably knew they got plumb lucky with Aaron Dismuke. But I'm glad we had a little boy actually do it. And like we said, for a lot of the little kids, not every one of them, but I think for a lot of these little kids, you know, Brina Poincia and all this stuff. Because remember, this is early 2000s. So whenever we hear Brina Poincia or some of the other well-known voice actors we have now who've done, you know, Black Butler is like, you know, Seattle or some of these other characters, we can tell they're a lot older. And, you know, obviously girls are, you know, older men. But I mean, again, to know that they were kids and either had coaching from their parents or, you know, all these different things. But I mean, again, it worked so well because, again, I liked the girl they had or whoever did the voice of Nina in Brotherhood, but Brina Poincia, again, for probably her being a little kid, I don't know what she could have been when she did this, but her doing the voice of Nina and having that gravitas of a real little kid, you know, no matter how old she was, fits so much more better to the character. Just like how Aaron DeSmook being this boy it fits well with the character too. So I agree with you on that. It's cool when you're able to do that.
Well, one of the most hilarious moments that kind of makes a joke out of what I just mentioned. If any of you have seen the English dub of Axis Powers Italia, that moment where North Italy allegedly hits puberty and his voice changes. Yeah, you know the one where he's in the little maid dress in Austria's house. It's like, hey, my voice has changed. I'm a real boy now, huh? I guess I must have sounded like a really you-know-what. It's like, oh, I know. It's just kind of funny because, honestly, his voice didn't exactly drop all that hard in that episode.
Probably because it was still Todd Haberkorn doing a much less goofier voice. Because I think he's the one who does Italy. It's Todd Haberkorn.
I mean, let's just be honest. It's hilarious. It's like, yeah, you hit puberty, but your voice didn't exactly go a hell of a lot farther with it. So, I mean, it's just one of those funny little asides I notice in voice acting. But yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a reason why girls get most of the voice acting gigs. You don't have to worry about the puberty bomb.
Yeah. But again, you know, these are our thoughts. Mine were very similar to Jherick's, minus if you guys could hear it again, because I know my voice was low in mine. I also gave a nod to Scar Damian Clark, who I thought gave a good performance, and you know, as well. But it pretty much was the same, because this one was really hard. Everybody, even from the minor characters, did such great work. You know, I also gave it to Christopher R. Sabat for Armstrong, R. Bruce Elliott for Boss Gron. You know, the short time Kimberly's in there, we sung praises to Eric Vale, who sounded absolutely psychotic. You know, it's just like, again, you know, great work from everybody involved. But again, these are our thoughts. And, you know, you've heard his take on the episode, how much we loved it. What do you guys think? You know, just let us know in the comments. And again, like I said, for mine, I will try to get my mic fixed. If not, maybe I'll do more single short live reviews for you guys, but we'll see. But I will try to work on getting, you know, whatever's going on with my mic here. Who knows? Maybe I just need a new microphone. That's going to require a bit more money on my part to get a more state-of-the-art one. But until then, this is 012 Boku and
current microwave microphone inferior, superior microphone needed.
All right. And we will speak to you guys again later.
Oh, good puppy. Good angel.